So welcome to Canadians Leading with Impact. I'm Kevin Crone. Super excited about our guest here today, talking to Andy Martiniello, a friend of mine. And in Troy and I doing this podcast, we're having these conversations with business owners, operators, thought leaders, and we're just trying to get together all the inspiration that we can to support Canadian leaders and businesses to succeed during these times. And so while we were writing out our guest list, we were like, we got to get Andy. We got to get Andy on our podcast here. And so welcome, Andy.
Thank you so much, Kevin. It's always a pleasure. Always so much fun to collaborate with you, chat with you, riff with you. So yeah, I'm thrilled to be here. I'm excited about the program that you guys are doing.
Thanks. Yeah, we are too. It's been a lot of fun. We're always recording conversation or having conversations with business owners, operators, and so often we're like, we should just record these, and just share them with people. They're just great, in-depth conversations about business and leadership and culture or whatever we're into. And I particularly, why we wanted to get you on here is because, Canadians leading with impact. It'd be great to talk to an executive coach that's running around Ontario, coaching, working with executives, owners, management teams. You've been doing this for years. You're on the board of the ICF, part of Marshall Goldsmith 100 coaches. So you've been doing, the hard work, grinding out working with executives, for years and years. And that's how we've come to get to know one another. And I'd be curious to kind of just get your quick perspective. How are our executives doing out there right now, given the climate that we're in right now? How is everybody? What's the general feeling from all your different interactions?
Yeah, what a great question. And I would say no surprise that there's a tremendous amount of pressure. Of course, that's not just my opinion, right? Those are the facts. A lot of pressure, a lot of uncertainty. And as we know, that's the opportunity for cracks to show up, right? Cracks show up under pressure. And so you start to see who of the leaders are ready for that, who's been doing kind of the work, air for that. And then when these things happen, are there to show up, right? To be the leaders that they need to be. And so what I find happens when that is in any way out of sync is the thing that leaders start to struggle with is balance, right? We have this tendency to swing from one side to the next. I think that the leaders that are really doing it well are the ones that are able to just hold that line, right? Just to stay in that place of balance where we're not overreacting, we're not underreacting, right? We're not reaching too far one way, but at the same time not just sitting and waiting for something to happen. Say that of the leaders that I work with, there's examples of both.
Right. So balance, you mean, when people hear balance, they think life balance, right? But is that the kind of balance you're talking about, or the kind of a more consistent, steadfast approach to, building their businesses, building their teams, et cetera?
Well, it's interesting because I think balance is such a foundational premise, right? If we think about it, Sam Harris, a guy I track a lot, I really like his thinking.
Yeah.
He talks a lot about the tightrope, right? He says, we're walking a tightrope, and when you're walking a tightrope, particularly in times like these, you don't want to just go rushing up. But the fundamental point you're looking for is balance, and I do think that while there's a like a heavy sort of almost negative connotation to this tightrope because there's this tension. I do think that there's some truth to this. There's a lot of truth to this, actually. I think that we're always walking on that, right? And right, but again, not to instill this sense of like, oh my God, like
fear, right? Like, because you think tightrope, you think you're up high. I'm thinking walking over Niagara Falls on a tire,
like crocodiles, whatever, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I would say that it's almost like a web, it's almost like a web of tightropes, right? Where we're like able to step from one to the other, but whatever it is that we're doing in that moment, we're looking for balance, right? We're always striving for that. So if it's balance in work life, if it's balance in the way in which we're driving our business, balance in the way we're responding to opportunities and responding to threats, right? So if we hold that perspective of like, we need to stay aware of what is at stake, what is the thing that we're trying to get done, what is the perspective that we're bringing into it, and as a result, how are we responding when things go awry, as they sort of are these days, right? And we say that, and there's no time in history, and certainly be no time in the future that there won't be things going awry. That is just simply the experience, right? And so for us to think about that and say, okay, well, no matter what comes at us, how are we just bringing it in? Bringing it onto ourselves and holding it in balance, right? And keeping that perspective. Easier said than done. Like it's a concept, but I do think it's a foundational one, that if we're always striving and then we start to ask ourselves the questions like, where am I in and or out of balance? And to get back into balance when I'm out of balance, because it certainly will be, what do I need to learn? What do I need to let go of so that I can find myself back into balance, right? So again, if we start with that as a core premise, we can maybe be more encouraged to ask the questions of ourselves to get ourselves back into balance. And then as a result, as leaders, be able to really show up in the way that the people, all the stakeholders around us need us to.
Interesting. You that from the tightrope concept, the way you describe it is a more of an aspiration to be calm. It's like a metaphor of we need to be calm under pressure.
Yeah.
And I think that's and then what I'm getting from you is you go right to spoken like a true executive coach. You go right to personal responsibility, right? And so versus all the circumstances, like you said, the circumstances are always going to be changing. There's always going to be storms. There's always that's coming, and we call it change is constant. Like it's just this evolution, and but during that challenging times or uncertainty or whatever's happening, your advice is to look within. And I think what you said is, what do I need to learn or let go of something, and so that I can show up and be the best kind of version of myself. Why is that so challenging, do you think? In all your hundreds of conversations with executives, and I imagine you get to some pretty amazing places in conversation with executives and and managers and owners, and
Yeah, well, it's difficult because our nature, I believe, is we want to be right? Like the thing is that we're foundationally terrified of being wrong, right? We're actually primarily afraid of this, right? And this, right? And I'm sure many that are watching this know this as well. Is that we're again primarily wired to be right, because we know that at somewhere in our lizard brain we're being told that if we're wrong, ultimately dead, right? And as
it's a threat, right?
That sounds, yeah, because it's true, because there was a time, and it still is very much the case today, that if we're wrong about things, we are at risk of something happening, right? And again, back far enough, you were wrong about, the berry you ate, or wrong about the cave you walked in, or, wrong about the expression on the person who's walking towards you with some kind of weapons, what is meant. You were dead. Like that was right? And if we're wrong about the association we have with our, family and our community, and we're left behind, we're also right. So as as morbid as that is for a Monday morning, it's just a foundationally true thing. And of course, now you advance that to today, and so the risk is different, right? But if you're standing in the boardroom and you've said something that's wrong, there is this reaction that says, "Man, I have to fix this." Because somewhere in our brains, we have this catastrophic collapse that says, okay, well, now as a result of me looking stupid in front of my peers or my boss or whoever, I'm going to be let go. And they're no longer going to want me around, right? Because they think I'm an idiot. Nobody wants to, have me here and pay me to be here, right? And so, as much as we don't necessarily process this in our conscious minds, there is this reaction. So it's true that we want to be right, and so to be right, we can often want to make others wrong, right? And so it becomes a potentially easier thing, particularly if we're in a position of power. And this is where leaders really can mess it up a little bit, right? Because they can start to find ways to create constrictions for the people that are working in their teams. And as a result, always keep them in the seat of right. And there's no better way to alienate yourself, create a disengaged, workforce, than create that type of environment, right? Where somebody's sort of manufacturing an environment where they're always right, not looking internally. Yeah.
Just so they can feel whole.
Exactly right. Yeah.
Just so choosing that consciously, unconsciously, to make ourselves feel whole, in this place of feeling of power, like powerful, like I'm in command and control, so to speak, versus admitting that I don't have all the answers, right? Don't have all the solutions. Like, who does, right? No one does, but we hang on to it. Like we hang on to it. Like we.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And that admission of vulnerability, that admission of like, how could I have all the answers? Of course I don't. In fact, I have you here because you got the answers. Right? And my job is to remove obstacles for you, to enable you, empower you, right? If we shift to that as leaders, now suddenly we've extended our impacts, right? Such a way. So, thinking about how do Canadian leaders create impact, what a terrific way, right? I mean, when we think about, if I'm the one that is going to be hold the responsibility of creating impact, and I'm going to try to keep everybody else sort of subdued, well, clearly I've lessened my opportunity. Why wouldn't I create this network of people who are out there doing amazing things, right? And really empowering them, right? So this is another critical thing that leaders really need to do if they're not doing it already. It create an environment that says, we drive delegation and decision making down into the business truly, right? Where we enable groups of people to create coalitions that all understand what the big picture is. So there's clarity there. And my job is to help them get there, right? And if I do it wrong at any point, going back to the earlier assertion, I have to be the first one to step and say, I messed that up. Right. I misread the situation. There's only so much I know. There's only so much I know. Whatever the case is, they've got to be able to step into that moment, be there, own it, and hold an accountability. It's not, and it has to be true too, right? Like it has to be, I often say it's about 100% responsibility, not 101, right? So it's not more than our accountability either. It's not like, okay, well, that wasn't actually my fault. It was someone else's fault, but I'm going to step in and go, don't worry about it. It's on me, no matter what it is, right? No matter if something goes wrong in my department or my organization or whatever it is, so it's on me, it's on me. Maybe it's not. And now we're shifting into a hero mode, which isn't helping either, right? That's actually, once again, disempowering your people to hold accountability themselves. Right. Another critical element for leaders is to be able to hold people accountable to the things that they said they would do towards the business's agenda, right? And so, that is the balance that leaders really need to think about and hold to and not waver from.
Yeah, and I think Well, you know, I think what you're describing, of course, I'm filtering it all through my life and my experience, and you know, it's being humble in the moments, or just humble. I love the saying, you either humbled, or you're about to be.
Right.
And if we you know, think of ourselves more as facilitators than leaders, you know, that with all the answers,
Right.
but facilitators to bring out all the answers, bring out the collaboration, bring out people's strengths and geniuses, and that sounds like a more collaborative, humbled kind of approach, you know.
Yeah, it's an excellent point. Marshall Goldsmith says this all the time. He said, when I work with executives, with leaders that say, I don't really have anything to work on. He always says, start with humility.
Yeah.
And there's kind of a little work to do there, right?
Yeah.
The moment we allow ourselves to say, truly, the only thing I know for sure is that I don't know, that I don't know everything, right? Is the moment. In fact, they say true enlightenment is when you can say, the only thing I know for sure is that I know nothing.
Yeah.
If you can really land at that, knowing that we have capability and agency and insight and all those things to bring, but if we genuinely go out into the world with this notion of the only thing I know for sure is that I know nothing, and wide open, right? Keeps you open and curious and committed to getting things in your life right, as opposed to closed, defensive, and committed to being right, which is, the articulation of what we were saying earlier, right? It's the difference in is. And we do this all the time. No matter how much we strive to stay in that, what I would refer to above the line space, where we're open, curious, and committed to getting things right. Yeah, of course, we drop below the line, say, no, I have to be right here. And even we've all had this experience when you're holding a line and you're charged up, you're feeling, anger or whatever the case, and you're like, I know I'm not entirely right here. No one. But I'm just going to hold on because I have some kind of agency, some kind of power over this environment, these people, or whatever, and I can just say I'm right, and that's the end of it, right?
Yeah.
And then we always regret it, right? We always do.
Yeah. Well, you don't get away with it.
You don't.
You don't. You think you are. You think you are in the moment.
Yeah.
Or but you're not really.
Not at all.
You're just also reminding me, this guy here wrote, Dale Carnegie.
Yeah. Watching
he wrote, remember, in dealing with people, that you're not dealing with creatures of logic, but creatures bristling with prejudice and motivated by their pride and their vanity.
Yeah.
And, so much of our work is in the relationship communications domain, right? Getting people to working together. And so all our talk here about being humble and looking, to trust, being in the moment, to be curious versus right. And that, despite the circumstances or the egos and the what's at stake, try and trust that to remain humble, and that you'll find a way. Trust that somehow. So, which is hard.
It's hard in the moment. It's hard after, but that's where the solution is. The superpower is being able to, because we'll all have those moments, is to be able to take a beat and then come back and own it, right? And we all know this, right? To go back in and say, but it's so hard to do, particularly if it's in an environment where we have either ourselves created, or the culture in which we're working in has created this notion that, well, we're supposed to be seen as people that are right. And to be clear, there's nothing wrong with being right? Like Jeff Bezos says this all the time. I hire people who are right a lot, right?
Yeah.
We're all in the jobs that we're in is because we're right a lot. That's great. It's the need to be right. And so in those moments, to be able to go back to the group or the individual or whatever and go, I messed that up. And here's what was happening for me. And I'm taking 100% of my responsibility for who I was and how I was in that moment, and let the rest of it go. And boy, like, talk about a generator of respect and admiration and connection and empowerment, right? Where, you take that approach with a team, and you've got a really solid, at least a potential to create something really strong within that group, right?
Amazing. So if we were to, I gotta ask you one question, maybe it help just kind of sum up everything that what you're describing is Canadian leaders will win when ... How would you answer that? If I was to ask you, and I give you a second to think about it, is, from your point of view, Canadian leaders will win when?
Yeah, I would answer that with when they really commit to self-awareness, to that notion of humility, right? Balance, all of the words that have been coming out, and the way that sort of comes together for me is Canadian leaders can win when they take a good look at the relationship they have with their ego and understand where is the opportunity here and where is the block, right? Where is the ego enabling the things that I am good at, right? Helping me draw out that confidence and to be the presence that I have and access all the tools and things that I've been given, and that I continue to hone. And where is it stopping me? Where is it, really getting in my way? And the more we really interrogate that idea, the better that we all are, but certainly leaders, because leaders do have this broader impact, right? So leaders really commit to thinking about that, and they'll shift everything in their, locus of control, like everything around them. They'll have a really positive impact on them. I'm positive. Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you. Thanks for taking some time to share your experience and wisdom. Andy, you are Canadian leading with impact.
Thank you very much. As are you, Kevin. As are you. So, pleasure. Really enjoy talking with you as always. And again, congrats on the great work. And I'm looking forward to seeing as you guys continue to build it up.
Right on. Thanks.